So what we're going to do now is start talking about 2024. So I heard a little bit of the earlier speakers. Basically, this is a good time of year to start planning for any changes that you want to make next year. So it could be changes related to your skills in public speaking. It could be a new job. It could be developing your leadership skills. And it could be things like considering how to expand in your current job, your skills, or maybe go off and do something totally different. And this is when people typically do this. Now, what's interesting, and I know I see a lot of you don't have your videos on, but those of you that do, how many of you do a New Year's resolution? Every year, you just do New Year's resolution. How many of you don't? Okay, a couple people don't. Okay, so what happens with New Year's resolutions, and most of us know this in some way, is that we make a New Year's resolution. We got all excited about it in January. February comes around and we maybe still remember what that resolution is. March comes around and we start forgetting about it. April comes around, we usually forgot about it. And it's because we didn't have a strategy. We didn't have a strategy or a plan on how to achieve this goal. In addition, a lot of goals get sabotaged because there's a fear element in achieving the goal. So just to give you a quick example, I've had my business for 15 years. And when I went to start my business, everybody said, you don't do enough marketing. You're not out there marketing. And I just was horrified at the idea of marketing. And so I wouldn't do it. And finally, I realized that I had a fear of marketing and I needed a support group to help me get over that fear of marketing, because I just kept feeling like I sounded stupid. I just had all these negative things in my head about marketing. And I'm still not super comfortable with it, but I'm better than I was. So the way we're going to start out is I'll be giving you 3 different documents. And the first one is going into chat right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a breakout session. And what we'll do is put you in pairs. You'll have 5 minutes and you're going to answer these questions. It's real high level, quick questions. So introduce yourself by sharing 2 true things about you and 1 dream or aspiration that you have for 2024. So hopefully you can all see the breakout session handout and grab it out of chat. And then in just a minute, I think you're going to be going into groups of 2. And you'll have 5 minutes just to share, an aspiration, something about you with your fellow traveling partner. The amazing things with technology.
Linda, this is Terry. I am so sorry. Can you repeat what you asked me for?
The breakout session?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So it's
now.
pairs. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I apologize.
Okay. That's okay. Technology is a gift and a pain.
So this will be automatic and we will all go in a room with someone else. See you soon.
5 minutes.
Okay, well, that's not working. Give me a second.
So the questions again are, you're going to introduce yourself, so you can start planning it now by sharing 2 true things about you and 1 dream or aspiration, something that's important to you. And so that's always a wonderful thing to share. Sure, if it doesn't work, we can just do it without the breakout.
So sorry, it wants me to assign everybody. I don't
Okay,
think it's gonna work, Linda. I am so sorry.
it's okay. Let's, this is what happens with tech. So, okay, let's do this instead. So I'm curious, if you write down on a piece of paper that you have in front of you, if you write down, just write it down right now without, and we'll share it either in chat or you can unmute, is what are 2 true things about you? And what is a dream or an aspiration you have for 2024? You know, what is important for you to achieve or even take a peek at that's a change for you? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my own timer, and I'll give you just about 2 minutes to just make some notes, jumpstart your thinking. Okay, great. I love this. Thank you, Kathy, for posting it in the chat. Yeah, sometimes getting back to exercise, eating healthy, these are important things too. So popping them in chat is good. Okay, does anybody want to unmute and share? Especially a dream. What's a dream or aspirational goal? How about Taylor? Do you have one?
I do.
Okay, love to hear it.
So my dream or aspirational goal, it's twofold. So I would like to trademark my logo for my business and to go ahead and further my business. I have a bakery that I started.
Oh, wonderful. That's perfect. Let's see. We also have Dawn as an acupuncturist and an entrepreneur, and her dream is to meet her financial goals. That's a big one. That's an important one. And then our grammarian, she's new to Washington, served in the Army, and she wants to work on self-discipline. So tell us what self-discipline for what? To accomplish what?
So that's me, Tanya. As I want to work on my self-discipline as it relates to my spiritual walk with God, and just like my everyday working out, right? Getting up like I'm supposed to, doing my meal plans like I'm supposed to. So that is that right now, those are the 2 big ones.
Okay, that's perfect. And then how about, let's see, I've got one I see. I really enjoy musicals, and even though I don't think I will, I also I love travel. So it depends. So you can make that into a goal definitely for the year, and then decide what you benefit from that, and what others benefit from you traveling. So the dream to explore a totally different career path in 2024. That's a big goal. That's a great goal, big goal. And when I started my business 15 years ago, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was in a job where we had a change in senior leadership, and he came in, the new leader, and he said, she's too old for this job. And I got fired for the first time in my life. And I thought, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. So I decided I'd be a personal professional development consultant, which I had been in my career. But it took a little while to get the business up and a lot of work. So this is not ages. Second DTM, lose 30 pounds, retire. That's great. I love that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's put some structure around this. So I'm going to put into chat. Okay, so this is a document that you can use for your goal. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through it, and I'll stop to see what questions that you have as we go through it. What I found is it's better to have a structure, some structure, a plan, a strategy to follow, and then the right support system to help you. And I do a lot of leadership development, and I work with people who are looking to be better at something, better at their job, better at being leaders, better parents, better at boundaries. I hear that constantly, creating boundaries in life. And so the way we do this is it's behavioral change. So you're wanting to create a new behavior to replace a behavior that's not working for you. So that a lot of people are conflict avoidant. So then you learn, instead of learning how to have conflict, you learn how to use boundaries. So here's, if you have the document. So as I was sharing, that just saying in January what you're going to change doesn't change anything. It's when you write it down and you're intentional about what it is you want to achieve. So you've got something written that you can look at, and you create a support group. So I've got this into different buckets so we can go through it. So you start off with the vision and aspiration, and you write something that's a concise statement. So it's a statement that encapsulates your vision of what you want in the next year with a lot of detail. And then also fundamental is creating a list of 3 to 5 goals you aim to achieve by the end of 2024. So when you write those down and you're really specific, it helps you really see when you get off track and then how to get back on track, because it's not a linear process. Looking at achieving our goals, it tends to go back. We tend to go back and forth with some success, falling off our goals, getting success, falling off our goals. And so the fundamental aspirations, when you write them down, here's an example: attain a leadership position, complete a development course, or start a side business. A lot of people are starting side businesses right now. So how many of you have written visions like this, where you have goals? Set it up. Any hands raising? Yes. Okay. Do you want to share, Madam Table Topics?
So last year when I did my vision board, I set specific goals for certain things that I wanted to achieve. For instance, I wanted to do more writing, explore more of my writing side. And so I put on there that I would write a novel. So I started off first with a couple blog posts, and then I would progress to a novel. So that's kind of what I did for that vision last year.
That's fabulous. So you really created like steps as you
Yes.
step into it. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's exactly what I'm talking about. How about someone else? Do you want to share? Lauren?
Sure, I can share.
Okay.
Repeat the question one more time, just to make sure I got
Well,
everything.
so what have you done to write down your aspirations or your goal, create a plan? What have you done before that's maybe worked for you?
I actually did a virtual vision board party last year. Well, it wasn't really a party, but someone did it for us in conjunction with one of the Young Government Leaders events. And so I have my old vision board right here. And I was asked last night at a holiday event, "Hey, Lauren, what did you do that was off of your vision board from last year?" I was like, "Oh no, accountability." So I pieced it together based on what I really wanted to get done, what I keep saying I'm going to get done. And, I'm a woman of faith, so I have scripture on here: where there is no vision, the people perish. But she asked me, well, what was the one thing that you did get done? Not all the things that you didn't do. So I wrote it down. I did little bits and pieces and blurbs and things. And I said, I did get self-care accomplished. So I guess with writing it down, even that one thing, even if you don't think it was the big thing that you wanted to do, like travel or write your book or launch your business, I said I did get more facials, more massages, and I took better care of my see, you're excited. I see that. It didn't seem like a big deal to me, but she was like, no, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
So as
Yeah.
far as that goes, writing that down and looking back at it and being able to say, I wrote it down, even though it wasn't everything, I did do something.
Well, you made a visual representation of what you want to do, and you made it inspiring. So the funny thing is, when I started my business, I would not write a business plan. I'm really stubborn when I want to do something. I didn't write one because I kept thinking, well, what if I want to do this? What if I want to do that? And I kept getting myself confused. So what I did is I made a collage of my goal. And I did that for 10 years before I wrote a business plan. Every year I've created a new collage, new inspirational sayings, new photos, new goals. They were right there, right in the middle of my office. And I accomplished, not all of them, but I accomplished some of them each year. And then I decided, my accountant said, write a business plan, please. So there's things that inspire us and other people that inspire us. Music can inspire us, our faith can inspire us. There's so many things that can inspire us then to move through something that feels hard, that feels very difficult, especially big changes. So thank you. That's great. So let's, I'm going to pull back up what I'm reading. So then the step 2 is to achieve the goals, break down each aspiration into smaller actionable steps. So small steps, baby steps. It's really hard to achieve a goal if you go from 0 to 100. So people that say, I want to lose 30 pounds in a month, those types of goals are very difficult. To say instead, you're going to change behavior. I'm going to change my behaviors. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to change the way I eat is goal. That's a goal. But the other one is a challenge to your brain, and your brain's going to rebel against that. And so to break down the goal, the other thing is create a timeline to achieve each step and a deadline for the timeline. So I'm going to, if it's a weight issue, it could be, I'm going to take a cooking class. I'm going to study about nutrition, and I'm going to do the first one in the next week. I'm going to do the next one in the next month, so that you have a clear plan. It's just so important to do that. And then update your plan. So keep updating it. So by February, I'm going to do something. And if you didn't make February, then say, okay, I'm going to move the marker to March. So we don't want to punish ourselves. That's not the goal, is to torture ourselves and to make ourselves feel badly. So it's having something very structured. And I'm just going to take a peek at what else I'm seeing. What is, I'm looking at one that says, I don't need to feel taller. I'm not sure what that one is. I'm good with my 60-minute massages. I feel taller afterwards. Okay, I get it. Okay. It's to learn to decorate cakes and cookies. I feel bad because my vision is so trivia, but yeah, so you can still learn to cook, make cookies and cakes that are interesting. I mean, these are great goals that could make you feel good goals. Okay. So other comments on other people who have had challenging or excuse me, creative steps to achieve their goals? You want to jump in? Okay, I love this. Thank you, Terry. So she's lost over 30 pounds over the last year. And what she did is mindful eating. I love this. She asked herself before she put the food in her mouth, is this honoring my body? Terry, you want to come off mute and share more about this? This is fabulous.
Sure. Hi, guys. Sorry. Let me change this spotlight. So I have to apologize, guys. I'm working 2 deals today, Sergeant at Arms and working on my grammar my evaluation. So I'm a little shaky today. So thank you for some patience. Okay. So yes, any questions? So what I did was I tried to be very present when I'm eating and mindful. And I have been doing a lot of reading on the gut and what kind of things we need to put in our gut. And so I make a list of them. I keep them, visual so that I can start moving towards incorporating them. And by the time you make a list of them and then you start being mindful about what you put in your mouth, like it's so true when you go to put something sweet in your mouth. It's just so I read that to change your mind, to change your brain, you do it one small thing at a time. So it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be, you have to check yourself and be mindful all day long. It's just one small step each day. And if you just be mindful one time while you're eating that day, it's better than not being mindful at all day long.
Yeah.
And I just started small steps and went from there.
Yeah, see, that's perfect because the hardest thing to do is go from 0 to 100. I mean, that just doesn't work.
Right.
So what you're doing is you're training your brain. You're rewiring your brain.
Exactly.
And that is when we take a behavior that's not working for us and we switch it for a new behavior and we're intentional. So I like it that I love even your body language showing take a piece of food, look at it, think about it, then decide if this is what you're going to put in your mouth. That's perfect. That's excellent. Thank you for that. That's great.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, financial goals, those are always tricky. So for saving for retirement, a little bit at a time. Yeah. And then everyone should have grace on their vision board. Yeah, because it has been a tough year. Oh, yeah. Resilience is very important too. It's a quality that we can develop, is this ability to muscle through difficulties and challenges and And even when we want to change our career or change something about us, we need to have resilience. So I like that too. Sweet red wine, that's important. And then, yeah, depriving yourself never works. I agree with that too. Yeah, because the people typically I'm working with are leaders that are trying to change their behaviors and how they lead people and engage with people, develop more a greater self-awareness and awareness of others, because we really need way more of that in the workplace. Well, we need it all over right now. Okay, so then section 3 is about challenges and solutions, because we know when we want to make a change, any kind of change, we're going to run into obstacles. If you know anything about the hero's journey, the Joseph Campbell is the one that made that popular years ago, as he talked about, we step on a path of change. So we step into the path, and as we're going along this path to achieve our goal, there's obstacles that occur. So when we're prepared for the obstacles, we can deal with those and get back on the path of our goal. So the hero's journey is a great metaphor for that. So looking at identifying potential challenges, these are obstacles that hinder your progress. So maybe you have a goal of being changing a job, and then the market turns against you and it doesn't work, or you don't get the job. Or maybe you have a goal of I think maybe not working so many hours is what I'm hearing from people. Working less hours and having more time, you time. If that's your goal, then you want to write it into detail and notice what is it that gets in your way and how can you mitigate that so that it doesn't throw you completely off your plan. So solutions and strategies, brainstorm ideas to overcome these challenges. One of the classes I've taught for 2 years at Oregon State to one of their health providers is about setting up boundaries. So nurses, doctors, everybody is completely overstressed right now. And so even taking 1 to 2 minute break at work helps. So a lot of the nurses at Samaritan Health Services have an app on their phone that lets them know to take a little mini break. So it could be, and breathe, because a lot of us, when we're under stress, we don't breathe. So this looks at can you delegate some tasks to other people so that you can have more time to focus on your goal. So work with maybe a team of friends to come together to see how you can achieve your goal and recognize the obstacles are there, and then how you work with those obstacles rather than giving up. So then the last one, the third one, is commitment and accountability. So this is writing a statement affirming your commitment to achieving the goals. You have to have a clear intention. So it's writing down, I'm committed to dedicating time and effort to achieve these aspirations, fill in the blank. What's the aspiration? And then putting detail around that. Have accountability partner. It's so much easier to achieve a goal when somebody's with us as opposed to by ourselves. So it's identifying someone who can serve as your accountability partner and support person. Because I have a business by myself, I have colleagues that work for me on and off, but basically it's by myself. I have 3 people I talk to constantly during the week, because I'm calling them either because I'm wondering about a proposal I'm sending out, I'd like somebody to read it, I want to share ideas I have with them in case they think they're stupid or they won't work. So I'm doing that a lot, running it by these friends. And then I do the same thing for them. So we have this little mini support group in order to achieve the goals that we'd like to achieve. And our accountability partners encourage us. They can motivate us. So let's, what I'd like to do, the bottom one too, is write a future letter to yourself. And this is a good one to reinforce. What you're doing is when you establish your goal, write a letter to yourself and stick it somewhere in your desk. And in 4 months or 3 months, pull it out and look at it and edit it, put it back in your desk or somewhere safe, and then look at it again in 3 to 4 months so that you don't lose track of your goal. So I'm going to move this aside. So, favorite quote this month is the only way to get things is to start to do it. Then keep on doing it and finally you'll finish it. This has been your incentive, my incentive to move forward and accomplish goals in my personal and professional life. That's wonderful. So is this Allegra? Is that your name? The odd counter? Would you like to share more about that?
Oh, sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll put myself on camera.
Okay.
One thing that I've really found, because this year has been a pretty challenging year for me, that I found myself initially kind of getting stuck. And in order to move past that, I really have to kind of keep reminding myself that it's even the small steps, even if it's 5 minutes a day towards doing something or 10 minutes a day towards doing something, you can still reach your goal. What you can't do is just stop moving forward. And so I've been using that in my personal, in my professional life to just get those things that need to be done to accomplish those goals. Because sometimes if you feel, you don't always feel like doing something, but even if you just do a little bit of it at a time, in the end, you'll feel better for doing it a little bit at a time. And in the end, you'll reach the goal. So.
I think that's perfect. And I don't know about you, but I reward myself when I do my calls. So, and I have to be careful what I reward myself with. But a lot of times now it's a hike. And I love hiking. I love getting out walking. And so I'll say, if you get up early, because I was up really early this morning since I'm on the West Coast, but if you get up early and I'll make a deal with myself and you finish these 2 projects, you can go for a walk at the beach. And so I'm hurrying through my project, and it's like nobody else is telling me what to do, but it's knowing I need to get some things done I don't like doing, also as part of my business, and motivating myself to keep going. So I love that. That is perfect. And then this Terry, the book by Harry Cloud, Boundaries. Do you want to share more about that book?
So that book really helped me a lot during some time that I was doing a lot of personal work with family. It touches every relationship in your life and boundaries, and it starts from when you're a child. So it's really a very deep, informative book on boundaries to help you, especially during the holidays with family. You got to have boundaries.
This is so true.
Yeah. And to be your best self, you have to understand boundaries and who to put yourself in position of and who not to, and this and that, and have great discernment. And to do that, you have to know how to practice boundaries in a loving way. That doesn't just mean you cut them off.
Yeah.
And that really helped me a lot.
That's excellent. Thank you for that, because I don't know the book, so I just wrote it down. Boundaries are critical. They're critical at work, in our personal lives and our families. I was practicing one of my boundaries on a very close friend of mine who was mad at me. And she got on the phone and let me know how mad she was at me. And I let her talk for 5 minutes. And then I said, I'll make up a different name. Charlie, you just, I let you go for 5 minutes. I hear you're angry with me, and I hear you wished I wouldn't have done what I did. And I said, now, so if we want to keep our relationship that we've had for years, then now we need to talk about this as opposed to you yell at me. And she was stunned. It was great because she's still my good friend. And, but I set a boundary that I was really worried about setting because I was worried it would damage our friendship. At the same time, she likes to yell. So I'm not a yeller. And so I decided I would try it out on her, and it worked. nicely. So then for the letter, question for the letter. So this is Ashley. What are we editing? So when you write a letter to yourself, basically what you're doing is you're taking the goals, like your strategic goals, and you're also writing a letter to yourself on what you're going to accomplish, when you're going to accomplish. So for me, it'd be, Dear Linda, over the next 3 months, you're going to be doing this, this, and that. And I'm going to write really nice things about myself because I'm writing it to myself. And then at the end of 3 months, I'm going to see, did I do those things I set out to do? And if I didn't, if I feel like I need to edit my letter to myself, then I edit the letter. We do this, there's a couple other programs that I've taught over the years where we have people take the letter and send it to themselves, actually, which is kind of fun to get the letter after a workshop. But it's basically just revisiting your goals in more of a creative way rather than just the strategic way. So I think both the letter and creating a strategy are helpful. Let's see. Then I'm looking at the mind changing for what Allegra said had an impact on Gwen. Is that what I'm hearing, Gwen?
Yes.
Yes. And so tell us more about that.
Well, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can show my camera.
Okay.
There we go. Just a little bit. I'm doing double duties today, but so sometimes I'm overwhelmed by all that I have to do. And so that sometimes, when you're overwhelmed and I don't know whether to go left or go right or to go up or down, I'm just stuck. So I just stop. I just shut down and stop. But that was inspiration for me. Instead of stopping, just keep going. And even if it's just one step or one task at a time, at least that'll be something that I have accomplished. So this was very good for me. And
Excellent.
I'm sure it's going to help somebody else.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Baby steps. It's very important, baby steps. So it's not a race. When we decide to make a change in ourselves, it is not a race. It is taking small steps at a time, mindfully. I love that that's been brought in to the conversation. It's being mindful about those steps. And when you get off track, it's having either the team that you're with or friends to help you get back on track. Because the research around changing behaviors is, it's not great, because what happens in the world I work in is mostly around what they call adult development practices. And what we tell people is that our brain likes consistency. So if we drive, you know how you drive someplace and it's someplace you go all the time, and sometimes you get there and you don't remember driving, or maybe that's just me, but you think, oh, I'm here, the same place that I go to all the time, but you're not thinking of the details that you normally would. It's because our brains like simplicity. It wants to do the same thing over and over. Well, that's the same as if you want to change your eating habits, your behaviors, your brain's going, I like the way we do things. So this is just an automatic thing that happens as our system fights against big changes. And so there's tools like in my work we use where we help people see that they're sometimes subject to some behaviors. And what they want to do is take that behavior that's causing them problems and learn about it. Like for me, I had to learn about my resistance to marketing because I was so resistant. People thought it was unreasonable, but I could I tracked it back to my childhood and made some connections. And with those connections, then I was able to get to the other side of my resistance to marketing. Because it's just the thing about putting myself out there, I just wasn't going to do it. So does that make sense? Anybody else had this experience that you want to share where you've noticed that there's some connection maybe to your childhood on why you're resistant to some things? Okay. Well, let's look at have a poem. So I have this poem I'm giving you. Don't know how many of you know it. It's a poem by Portia Nelson. And it's one I like because it leaves you thinking. So it's called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. Chapter 1, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down a different street. I've always thought this illuminates how hard it is to make a change and to really see our part of that change. So I'm curious about any comments or questions that you have? Chapter 5 is yeah.
This is Christina. I'm jumping on comment. I joke with people that this is my brick year. It reminds me of this poem because I say, you know, God, when he wants you to do something, he like taps you on the shoulder. And then, you know, sometimes you could ignore that tap and then you kind of get a little bit of a shove. And, you know, if the shove doesn't work and the tap doesn't work, sometimes you get hit upside the head with a brick. And this is my brick year. So I am trying to get to chapter 5.
Excellent. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It is it's like hitting a wall over and over. And we're just resistant to changing our path or changing the way we're going. We're just going to keep hitting that wall. And maybe that's part of our growth. So I don't want people to feel guilty for hitting the wall because it took me a while. I've had a few walls that have taken me a while to move beyond. I like this. How long does it take to walk down the same street before learning to take another street? I think that's definitely individual. It's that aha moment.
Linda, we have a hand raised too. Tom.
Yes. Okay. I can't probably see it as well. So go ahead and come off mute and share.
So I have a question as far when it comes to making a change. Is there a difference in as it relates to women and men? Do men make changes faster, or is it just a personal thing? Is it has nothing to do with sex? Because I have found in relationships what women will allow, men don't. So that's why I'm asking this question.
So I'd have to look at it through the lens of changing behaviors. And so if we talk about changing behaviors, I've been working in the coaching field for 25 years, I think now. And I would say I would lean toward women are more receptive to hearing about areas of development and following through than men are. And that's really a broad generalization. I know it sounds like, I know you might think men would make the change quicker. They're a little more resistant to the self-awareness part. So a lot of senior leaders and organizations, their level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness sometimes aren't as evolved as women are. So when you have a group of women in like there's a company I've worked with for several years, and the CEO I've noticed keeps stacking his board with women. And it's because he's found that they make better decisions and they're more collaborative. And that's just his insights from this organization that he runs. So how does that land for you? Well, you're on mute.
We work with men constantly, unless you're retired, maybe. But you know, some people have husbands. So I just find it difficult sometimes working with them because of what you said. And then
Yeah.
people have no frontal lobe like we do, so that they don't have no foresight. It's ridiculous to me. But it sucks. It sucks. Because how many, like she said, how many times you got to walk down a street to realize, oh, that like uncomfortability. I don't know. But yeah.
Well, the thing that I've seen is that people are generally teachable. So if you present them with the right information and sort of the right time where they see that their behaviors are impacting them negatively, people are more open to change. But if they can't see how it's impacting them, and I'm not even getting into all the psychological issues, but if they can't see it, then they're not going to be open to making a change. You know, so this sort of metaphor about the street, walking down the street, falling in a hole, I mean, you can use that as a discussion on a team. You know, when do we notice we do this? What habitual behaviors do we have that we have difficulty owning up to? I mean, there's a lot you could play with that 5 chapters. So you need to get unstuck from chapter 3. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I hear what you're saying, Kathy. I'm making a really broad generalization just based on the clients I've had over the years. I have right now, I'm doing a deep dive with 2 senior executives in coaching. And the female is, if you know the DISC, she's high D. And the employee she's having trouble with has this ton of emotional intelligence that his boss doesn't have. So I'm kind of playing between the 2 of them to see if I can help her see he's the one with emotional intelligence, not her. And that's a place she can develop. So you can develop it. Some people have it so naturally, though. Ever so often I meet someone, I'm just in awe of their emotional intelligence. And I feel like maybe they've had it forever. I think most of us learn it. CD, I'm an ID. So I think we're at the time. I really appreciate this opportunity. It's fun meeting all of you. This is my second experience with your group. I keep telling I'm in the Founders District in California, and I keep telling them about your club. You know, what a great club you have here. So I appreciate being invited, and I will sign off and sign it back to the team. Thank you.